That's what it is. It is your girl Cadillac. Yes, I'm Cadillac Dixon. I'm the Drama Life Prison wife. I'm the legally blind artist that is rapping and painting for justice, hoping, girl, to see justice before all face to black. Yes, it's your girl Cadillac. Anyways, jumping right back into it. This was my video series about discrimination when going to the doctor, girl. So this one, the first two parts, I do have discrimination that I felt some type of way when I was taking my daughter to the doctor. I have those two parts I can link in the description box below. And now this is the continuation of the discrimination when going to my eye specialist. So the doctor, he had cut the contact, and I was so excited. I was thinking about drawing him a little picture, like, you really helped me out and this and that. So then he's like, now we have to talk about the issue of payment. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. So, like I said, I was old school. This was the early 2000s or whatever. I grew up in the 80s and 90s and stuff like that. My mama used to tell, oh, can you bill me at the house? Just send the bill to the house. And so that's what I asked him. I was like, can you bill me at the house? And he was like, no, we've waited long enough. I'm like, you just finished servicing me. Like, I had to come. When you're getting fitted for contacts with keratoconus, you literally will sit through 2 to 3 hours of them mapping your eye. Hours. And he was sorry, like, it cut off. No, we've waited long enough. I'm like, you just finished servicing me. Like, I had to come. When you're getting fitted for contacts with keratoconus, you literally will sit through 2 to 3 hours of them mapping your eye. I went through several different appointments for hours. It used to make me so overwhelmed, for hours just sitting in a person's chair as they looking in my eye. Like, so I'm like, we just finished. What do you mean? Like, can I do a payment plan? Like, okay. He was like, no, I've waited long enough. And I'm like, well, okay, so I'm going to have to stop here. But that doctor, I got some more stories about how I could not believe that was the way that I was treated. And I was not trying to not pay him. I just didn't know that you needed all this money on spot. So, yeah, that was when I was going to an eye specialist, and he, at the end, just wanted all, like, these hundreds of dollars. For my contact back then, each one was like $200 some a piece. And then I had to pay for the typography. I don't know why I was not getting my contacts under medically needy. Like, they're putting my contacts, they were putting it as cosmetic. And it's not cosmetic. I literally cannot see without them. But they were filing it under cosmetic. So I had to pay for everything else. Like, the only thing that my insurance did pay for, and I believe that is still the case now, the only thing that my insurance pays for is like a regular eye exam. They don't pay for the specialist. They don't pay for the typography. They don't pay for the contacts. They don't even cover the contacts. I have to pay full price for them. So when I break my contact, I got to pay like full price. I'm going to pay out of pocket about $200 per contact. I think the price kind of dropped a little bit because my aunt found a way to get them through Sam's Club. And I actually only pay $100 and something per contact. So I definitely need to order another contact. And but all of that's why I'm saying the bill was quite hefty. And he's like, we need to talk about payment now. And I'm like, I ain't got no money now. I thought we was finna, I thought I was going to get a payment plan or something like that. I didn't know, like, why wasn't he up front? But when I told him, like, I don't really have it now, it's like his whole attitude and demeanor towards me changed. He was like, I waited long enough. And I'm like, So what do I supposed to do? I don't have the money. And he's just steady going back and forth with me. And then I do remember telling him, like, it's not like I could lift up my mattress and just pull you out the money. I don't have it now. Like, can we make a payment? He was not taking that. But he was getting really rude. He was no longer being professional. I'm like, ugh. So I still kind of went to that doctor because I felt some type of way, but I don't remember. I can't remember. Somehow I think I paid them. I don't know if I asked my mama to help me or what. I don't know, but my mama would help me, but she used to keep track of everything that I owed her, and she definitely got that money back. When it was time to file them taxes, she got her cut off real. So mama used to help me, but she didn't give me nothing free like that. So I don't know. I think somehow I paid for it or whatever. So fast forward, I was going there again. It was time to get new contacts. I don't know if I just broke it or I just needed to. I think I needed to be refitted because your cornea just keeps protruding till it gets to the point where you no longer can fit that one. You got to go through the whole process kind of over again. So I was going, and it had been I think it had been a year or so, or it's been a little while since I had went the last time. And the receptionist, I don't know if she was a receptionist, doctor, whatever she was, it's the lady, that lady that was up there like assisting before the doctor. And she was like, oh, and everything's covered under your insurance and this and that. So I'm like, are you sure? Because last time I had to pay for the contacts out of pocket. And she was like, oh, there's no way you should be paying out of pocket because they're not cosmetic contacts, they're medically necessary. You need those contacts to see. Without the contacts, you are blind. She's like, you need them. And I'm like, I know, but last time I had to pay for them. So I'm up here asking her, steady asking her, do I have to pay for them? She says, no, you don't have to pay for the contacts. So I'm like, okay, cool. I took the contact. I went home. I'm like, okay, I got me some contacts I could see, girl. So I didn't go back for a little while. And I remember I was working at the theme park. I had shortly just started my job there. And I had broke my contact. I don't remember how I broke it that time, but my contact broke, girl. Oh, I thought that my contact had broke. So for me to be able to drive and get back and forth to work and to see on the register, I literally would be on the register like this, trying to see the guests' money to count back their change. And they're looking at me like I'm crazy. I'm taking the money and putting it up on my face like that close so I could see what dollar bill it is. When I was checking the license to see if the person could drink, I'm like on their ID like this, and people just look so crazy at me. So it's very embarrassing, but that's how I have to function when I don't have my contact. So it's very hard for me to function. So I go and I'm like trying to make an appointment, and they was like, no, we can't see you. We can't cut you another contact because your prescription is expired, and we can't see you till you satisfy your balance. And I'm like, what balance? Like, what balance do I owe? And she's like, you owe a balance. And I'm like, okay, so what's the balance and what's it for? She said, it shows for contacts. Now, remember I told the lady that they needed to charge me for them contacts, and she kept telling me they did. It was covered under my insurance. So I was very forthcoming with it. But when she kept insisting that they were covered, I'm like, well, okay, I guess, thank you, Jesus. Oh, happy day, right? She's like, you owe us blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, so I don't have that right now, but what am I, and why didn't y'all call me? Why didn't you reach out? Well, we called you. We reached out to you. So I asked, I'm like, what information do you have? They have an old freaking phone number and address. So they never, like, no, I think they had an old phone number, but the same address. I'm like, so why didn't you write me? Why didn't y'all something to let me know that I owe something? And she was like, well, You owe it, and until you pay it, the doctor is not releasing your prescription. No, my prescription was valid. He wouldn't release my prescription. And I'm like, I understand you're not going to cut me a new contact because now I owe you, but had you updated my information, I would have known that I owed you and I would have been able to pay you. But he was like, I says, can I just get a copy of my prescription and I'll just go somewhere else and then I'll pay you when I'm able to pay you. Like I'll start a payment plan or whatever I need to do, but I need a contact now. She said, the lady say, oh, the doctor is not releasing your prescription until you make payment. And I'm like, I said, I technically paid for my prescription. When we went through, I said the contacts were not covered, but the eye exam was covered, which is connected to my prescription. It's covered under my insurance. So I paid for that technically. She gonna look down at me, I promise you, because she was at this tall desk, and she looked down and she said, well, technically, you're wearing those contacts that you haven't paid for. So would you like us to take those back? I'm like, what? Because I asked for my prescription. Literally, I was like, I technically already paid for that. I just need my prescription. And you can't withhold my prescription. And she was saying, you technically didn't pay for that contact. So would you like for me to take those back? I'm like, I would like to see you. I would like to see you do it. I would like to see you take these contacts out my eyes, girl. Like, who talks to their patients that way? And if they do talk to patients that way, do they talk to all of their patients that way? Or do they single out who and what patient they're going to talk to in that manner? Like, girl, there's always, you can say anything you need to say or want to say, but it's always the way in which you say it. That was not the way to handle it. When I said technically, and I talk to people so freaking kind. If you ever met me in real life, everybody says I'm the kindest, gentlest. Like, I think about every word. I talk slowly because I'm thinking about every word that I say before it even comes out of my mouth. So I'm not the one to be like, girl, dude. I'm not like that. I said, well, technically I already paid for the prescription with the last eye exam. So it's technically my prescription. I was not coming at her sideways. So even if you disputing what I'm saying, all you have to say is, well, unfortunately, ma'am, because it's our policy and this and that. Like, you could go back and forth with me all day long in that same manner. I've done customer service. The person could be wrong all day long, back and forth. They could know they wrong, and I can know that they wrong. But I still have no right to disrespect or talk down to them. There's a way to go back and forth with a person without demeaning the person. But when she told me, would you like for me to take those contacts back that you technically didn't pay for? After you told me they were paid for because you filed it. You filed that. I didn't file that for myself. You told me I was good to go. And I never would have found out that I owed you anything had I not came back because my contact was broken. Baby, I went home and cried to my mother again. I was so upset that time. I was like, oh, and at that time, there was not many. Like I said, I have a special, not a special eye disease. I have a rare eye disease. And it's not a lot of people that specialize in keratoconus. So I felt like this is literally like the doctor I have to go to. I don't have many options. Then I'm like, all right, so I'm going to have to wrap this up because I was just sitting in the parking lot waiting for my aunt to come out the stove. She out the stove, so it's time to go. All right, but yeah, so It really made me, I did cry. I cried to my mama. I was like, this is what I gotta go through. But needless to say, she was like, Keita, he can't be the only doctor that specializes in that. And what I ended up doing, I went back to my insurance. I got a list of doctors. I called them all. Some didn't take my insurance, some wouldn't take me. And finally, I found another doctor. He was way far out, way across town. But just so I didn't have to be mistreated and talked to and talked down on, I went to that doctor instead. It was him. This is the doctor I currently have. It's him and his daughter. They actually both are doctors, eye doctors that specialize in keratoconus. And he actually knew that first doctor, and he was like, he's a good doctor. Why did you leave him? I didn't tell him how I was disrespected. I was just like, I didn't feel comfortable there. All right, guys, it's your girl Cadillac.